Welcome back to Our Life, Beginnings and Always. We're continuing to enjoy the boardwalk in the afternoon with Derek and the kids and Elizabeth and everybody. And here we go. Elizabeth took long strides and led the pack, cutting her way through the crowd. Everyone was willing to follow her. The Suarez brothers were giving her some leeway since it was the first time there and you were used to your older sister's attitude. She was making a beeline to the roller coaster, the singular big kid ride of the boardwalk, and nothing was going to stand in her way. Not tonight. You kept up with Elizabeth and walked the Sonic Cider. You hung back with Derek, Jorge, and Nicolas. I think we're gonna hang back. No. What am I talking about? I like Elizabeth. Elizabeth is my jam here. She acted like she didn't even see you. The only thing in her eyes was tracks curving high above your heads. Nicolas had stopped holding on to Derek, instead flitting about in his own. Derek continued to keep a sharp eye on him. He occasionally pursed his lips when Nicolas was on the cusp of wandering further away than safety allowed. You frequently craned your head around so you could watch the little boy as well. This kid. I love the car. It looks less out of place than the rainbow did. But when I think of face painting, I think of like the full face thing. But we didn't do that either. Our character probably looks dumb too. He eventually started to lag, unable to keep up with Elizabeth's breakneck pace. Nicolas tottered at the end of the group, slowing his pace, falling behind them, bursting forward to catch back up. It happened on repeat. His eyelids drooped and his head bobbed forward. There was an expression of vacant determination on his face. It was a special kind of stubbornness only the youngest people in society could muster, the type when the concept of stopping wasn't just ignored, it flat out didn't exist in their minds. Luckily for Nicolas, he had a more self-aware big brother who could set limits for him. Hey, let's sit down for a second. What? It's a long walk, especially if you got small legs. So you mean for you? That's right, I do need to take a break. This man's is not at all, like, just, she can't get to him. I love it. Derek willingly accepted Elizabeth's shot at his stature. You could guess why pretty easily based on his leading tone. If Derek wanted to rest, Nicolas would want that too. Derek scanned the area and pointed out some tables in the distance. Elizabeth glanced at the path ahead once, but didn't argue about changing course. This man's is a good big brother. She picked an empty table that looked to be cleanest of the selection. Everyone took a seat, with a marked preference for sitting under the shaded half. You grabbed your water bottle and took a long, refreshing drink. It remained relatively cool on your tongue. Have you been carrying a water bottle this whole time? Oh, man. I guess we have like a day pack or something. Oh, this is a nice picture here. This them being closer like that. Derek hefted Nicolas up on his lap. His brother wiggled slightly until he found a comfortable position. Marina has the right idea. It's water time. Nicolas gave no audible response, but his eyes were completely closed. However, he did accept the water Derek placed into his hands. He sipped it sluggishly. Unfortunately, Nicolas tipped the water bottle upward until it started to spill.
Oops.
Derek snatched the bottle back and chuckled. Nicolas opened his eyes slightly, barely perturbed by getting splashed. He rubbed his wet face in Derek's shirt and stayed resting against his chest. Derek patted his head. You had to admit it was cute. Elizabeth and Jorge drank their water too, side-eyeing the scene but not saying a word. You should drink, Derek. You followed Elizabeth and Jorge's example and silently observed Nicolas. You kept to your own business. You should drink, Derek. Thanks, I will. He pulled out his bottle with a smile and began to hydrate. Jorge finished his drink with a final chug. He inclined his head towards his two brothers. Nicolas is gonna fall asleep. Elizabeth twisted the cap back on her bottle. She was ready to go. What now? Nicolas let out a small snuffly noise, a snore. Derek looked down at his clearly sleeping little brother, but it was no issue for Derek. He brushed it off as easily as Elizabeth's insult. It's cool. I'll find her parents and they can look after Nico while he naps. Mom and Dad won't mind taking him along since he's down for the count. They're probably sitting at one of the restaurants or browsing a store or something. Elizabeth nodded, glad that it wouldn't be her problem. Jorge appeared more hesitant.
Okay.
He peeked at Elizabeth and back at you. Derek smiled reassuringly and continued to pitch his plan.
Anyway.
Plus, Elizabeth wanted to ride the roller coaster. I would have had to sit back with Nicolas anyway, since he's too short for it. It just makes sense for you three to do that while I'm dropping off Nicolas, so go get that ride. I'll catch up later. Jorge sighed. He was being left behind thanks to Nicolas, but was placated enough not to argue with his older brother. Okay, he nodded and accepted the plan. Are you sure? I'll stay with you so you two aren't alone. Can I go with you, please? We should all go find your parents together. Splitting up is a bad idea. I think Marina's gonna ask if he's sure. He watched Derek's face carefully, but he gave no sign of concern. Yeah, definitely. I'll be back in a flash. You won't even miss me. Okay. Thanks, Derek. We owe you one. Gotta take care of Mr. Sleepy Pants over there. Thank you, Derek. Derek did a double take, trying to figure out if she was serious. He gave him a subtle nod. From your interpretation, jeez. Elizabeth did mean her thank you. It was just her perpetual lukewarm tone that made it come across as sarcastic. Derek's mouth twitched into a grateful smile at your Elizabeth Interpretation Services.
Bye.
Elizabeth Interpretation Services, wow. Bye. Why can't he say bye? He winked at you.
Talk to you later.
And then Derek shifted Nicholas around so the kid was firmly dozing in his arms, and hopped up on the bench. Nicholas didn't stir at all as you watched Derek shuffle away as speedily as he reasonably could, carefully not to jostle his brother too much. To be fair, 6-year-olds aren't that heavy. I've carried a 6-year-old before. Also, Derek's pretty strong, probably. He probably works out some because he's an athlete. They both disappeared into the hustle and bustle of the crowd. Nicholas really must be able to sleep anywhere. I could too when I was that age. Jorge frowned when he lost sight of his brothers, but he snuck another nervous glance at Elizabeth. Your sister's arms were folded across her chest and her brows were pinched. While also typical for her, to Jorge it probably appeared like she was incredibly annoyed. Don't worry, this will be fun. Try not to stare at Jorge. Come on, this is gonna be awesome. It's okay, she scares me too. You smiled welcomingly at Jorge. You got up from the table and prepared to leave. Come on, this is gonna be awesome. If you say so. He perked up a little and stayed closer to you than to your sister. He appreciated your friendliness. It seemed as though playing Elizabeth smoother over might become a regular gig. Alright, since you two decided to stay with me, I have a responsibility to make sure neither of you get lost. She placed her hands on her hips and scowled mostly at Jorge, but you weren't completely safe either.
Right.
You better not run off. I am riding that roller coaster. Okay. I see you have your priorities straight. Always. She waited for your agreement. You shrugged, not feeling like arguing with her. Good. With her authority recognized, she finally smiled. Filled with a childish excitement that you rarely saw from her anymore, Elizabeth bounced on her feet. But I changed my mind. It's alright to run off, just as long as it's the right way. Move it. She rushed ahead of both you and Jorge both you and Jorge had to go from 0 to 100 to catch up with her. After the initial burst of speed, she decreased the pace gradually. She may have been in a hurry, but she didn't actually want to ditch you. She's fairly athletic too. If you forget, she plays golf all the time, so she's out there getting that exercise in the course, carrying her clubs around and stuff. I'm sure Lizzie's in good shape. Good enough to join the Wrestling Federation, right? Am I right? It was a fun chase across the boardwalk. All of you were speed walking as fast as possible. Given Elizabeth's haste, you soon reached the line for the roller coaster. It was long enough that you had more than enough time to catch your breath. Elizabeth raised her hand over her eyes as she looked up, trying to see the high track of the roller coaster despite the sun's glare. She was thrilled. I'm gonna sit as close to the front as possible.
Yeah.
Oh? She was surprised at his sudden eagerness. She approved.
Okay.
Then you can sit by me. Jorge smiled shyly and inspected the pavement below him. I'm gonna throw my hands in the air. Fine, I'll take the seat behind you. But what if I wanted to sit by my big sister, you joked. What if I wanted to sit by Jorge, you joked. You chuckled at their exchange. I'm gonna make Jorge's day. I'm gonna say this. Because Marina's gonna be a roller coaster person, right? So I'm like I said, I mentioned this in the last video, but I've never really been too big into roller coasters, and I probably wouldn't go on this one. But I have been on a few smaller ones, and some not so smaller ones, and it was okay, and I think I could get into it. I don't think I'd be an adrenaline junkie wanting to do like all the loop-de-loop shit and stuff like that, but you know. What if I wanted to sit by Jorge? Then it'll be too bad for you. The line plodded along, with families of various teenage revenge groups filing forward every time the roller coaster returned. It was a test of patience in the heat of summer afternoon. Still, there was a great reward at the other side, and eventually the three of you reached the loading station. So I do hate lines at parks. I've gone to a lot of county fairs and ridden light rides and stuff. I don't. That's another reason I don't ride very many rides anymore. I don't like standing in line for them. Elizabeth and Jorge rushed towards the front of the car as soon as the roller coaster attendant gave them a nod. They managed to get seats only a couple rows from the top. He sat behind them and buckled in. Like Nicholas in his booster seat, an attendant went through each person, verifying they were strapped in safely. I know you can choose to not ride it. I guess earlier I could have been less enthusiastic and I wouldn't have rode it, because I know Sorrow didn't ride it. The roller coaster passed inspection and was clear to go. It slowly started pulling uphill, heightening your anticipation. Up and up and up, the car crept forward. You gripped your handlebar, bracing for what would come. It went over the crest and then whooshed down the first hill. The wind rushed past you. It felt like falling. Screams filled the air, shrieks of joy, terror, and everything in between. The roller coaster curved around and went back up and then down again, racing through several smaller hills and valleys. The wooden track jostled you around so much it chattered your teeth in your head. You never knew that punch it would hit you with next. Wooden coasters. I have been on wooden coasters. They are weird. They are a little bit less, I think, from what I understand, they're supposed to be more loose than, like, metal coasters. But usually don't go as fast either. But too soon you felt the momentum slow and your strolling grew familiar. The coaster puttered to a stop back on the station. The safety bar was released and your shaking hands lifted over your head. The skin of your face was tight and sensitive in the best way, tingling from the rush that ended only moments ago. Elizabeth discreetly watched Jorge to make sure he didn't need help before standing up. The three of you followed the exit signs back to the boardwalk, energized and expressions all around. Jorge skipped up beside you and Elizabeth. That was cool. Elizabeth nodded as she smoothed down her frizzed-out hair. It wasn't bad. Her grin held more enthusiasm than you'd seen from her all week. He probably gets to ride this all the time when he comes here with Derek and stuff. It was awesome. That was crazy. It was awesome. There had been so much whooshing and you'd gone so fast. You could ride that again and again. As the adrenaline began to settle down, you realized that your group wasn't exactly walking in a particular direction. Marina's an adrenaline junkie, so you know. Elizabeth paused and peered back and forth, rising herself to her tiptoes as she searched. No, Derek. She narrowed her eyes and her sly smile set off immediate alarm bells. Let's go get cotton candy. What? She coolly waved up his surprise. Well, Nicholas was the one who wasn't allowed to eat any more treats, right? Do you see him here? Or even Mr. Responsibility? We can do what we want now, and I want cotton candy. But isn't that unfair? Life's not fair, kid. Besides, what they don't know what killed him. Jorge blinked at her in amazement. Her flat disregard of the implied rules was enough to blow his mind. You wondered how childhood had been for Jorge growing up under Derek's rule-following example rather than, well, Elizabeth's Elizabethness. Both of you might have been the second children in your families, but you had very different older siblings paving the path ahead of you. Jorge seriously considered her proposal, clearly thinking it through. Quietly, as if not allowing his words to spread beyond this group, he spoke. Can I have some? Yeah, you can. Her expression turned devious, pleased at her corrupting ways. She tilted her head towards you. Marina. I want cotton candy. You better not leave me out of that. Elizabeth shrugged and walked over to a nearby stall. She selected a huge bag stuffed full of 3 clods of puffy bean cotton candy and paid for it out of her own pocket money. I don't like cotton candy. It's just crystallized sugar. I like watching those machines or the people where they make it. It's kind of fascinating, but I think it tastes, and I think it tastes gross too. I don't like the taste of cotton candy. After she paid, she ripped open the bag and dug into the first cotton ball for Jorge. He accepted it, his eyes still wide. She handed you the next chunk. It was light as air in your fingers, a bit sticky and smelled sweetly vanilla. Vanilla is an interesting word. I didn't know that was the way you could spell that. Huh. Yeah, also it's sticky and gets all over your fingers. I hate it. Elizabeth took the last one for herself. She started tearing out bite-sized tufts and placing them in her tongue. Jorge happily took a large bite directly from his lump. You began eating yours as well. It was light, fluffy, and dissolved in your mouth. It's delicious. Elizabeth hummed in agreement, continuing to eat her treat. The taste of breaking rules. Please, it wasn't even our rules. For a time, everyone was content to enjoy the felonious treat in each other's company. Ah, yes. Disrespectful, felonious, chicanerous, and deceitful. The last bite was eventually eaten, and it was time to wipe off the pink-stained fingers, so you don't get caught pink-handed, right? Elizabeth wadded up the empty plastic bag and tried to dunk it into a nearby trash can. The plastic immediately unfolded from its ball with a trinkle, and she missed. Your sister sighed and snatched it off the ground and placed the sagging bag in a trash can directly. Don't litter, kids. Don't litter. Follow the example of Elizabeth Foster. Don't litter. There were no signs left of the extra activity, and Derek had returned to catch Elizabeth in the act. Where was he? You inspected the boardwalk for your friend's certain familiar form. Despite how much time had passed, he still wasn't back yet. We could try the roller coaster again. Jorge shook his head definitively.
No.
We should wait for Derek. He's got to be coming. He has a very adult voice when he talks. The person does like a deeper voice for Jorge. Elizabeth sighed but led the group closer to the sign posted across the front of the coaster. You didn't join the line but stood just under the massive advertisement to make sure yourselves easily noticeable.
Fine.
Here, there's no way he's gonna miss us now. With that, you settled in to wait for Derek's return. sky turned golden as the sun began to disappear under the horizon. You wasted all days waiting under that roller coaster when you could have been doing other stuff, just saying. You glanced out to sea, and it looked as if the ocean was swallowing the day. I love the idea of that. Ah, man. Lights began to click on, and already shiny buildings of the boardwalk were set aglow. In that waning light, two boys with matching car face paint emerged from the shadows. You found Derek in an unexpected carry-on. Oh, that stinks. Elizabeth ran a hand through her still frizzy hair as she stared at snoozing Nicholas. Jorge frowned concerned. Derek spied you and the group all headed toward each other. That means he looked all day for them. You met in the middle near a restaurant with mostly empty rack of rental bikes. Hey, everybody. He bashfully kicked at a pebble by his foot. He also chuckled and shrugged as if to say, yeah, the plan didn't work out. Sorry for taking so long. There was sort of a problem.
Duh.
I like that. Nicholas released a particularly loud snort.
What?
Where are Mom and Dad? Jorge's arms were around his chest. Derek readjusted his grip sturdily, and you wondered how strong he was. It must have been getting difficult to hold Nicholas at this point. They're fine. It's just that they promised to meet later is all. It's not like we've been abandoned. Jorge let his hands hang loose at his sides, believing his brother. Before anyone could say anything else, Derek had a new idea to offer. I'm gonna hold Nicholas until it's time to go home. The rest of you can keep having fun. Go wherever you want. Jorge uncomfortably pulled at his shirt, stretching in fabric as it seems. I don't want to go. I want to help. He visibly felt bad about all this being put on Derek. You got the impression that Jorge was a little bigger. If Jorge was a little bigger, he'd have offered to take a turn holding his baby brother instead. Honestly, this man's could probably do it.
No.
It's okay. I'll be fine. You really shouldn't waste all your time standing around with me. Plus, then who would help Elizabeth and Marina around the boardwalk? They haven't been here before. You know this place can make sure they don't get lost or don't miss the good parts. Jorge turned to you and Elizabeth, but hesitated with his answer. It would help me to know we didn't send them off alone. They're our guests, right? Okay. Thanks, Jorge. Derek leaned closer to Elizabeth and whispered, I don't want Jorge to miss out the boardwalk because of Nicholas or because of me. Please go take him and have some fun. Elizabeth and Derek made eye contact, and for all you could figure, they had some sort of eldest sibling telepathy going on. That was the only way you could explain it, because rather than arguing, she agreed to work with Derek. I can almost see this being a thing in the future. Seriously? Like, opposites attract, right? Just saying. I've been watching like dumb videos of like Android 18 and Krillin, and I think about like tall blonde girls and short guys. Oh, my package arrived. How nice. I'll get that later. I'll do it. Elizabeth then pressed her lips together and considered you. She snorted, then lightly flicked her nose. But I don't need Marina with me. Jorge isn't a pain. Derek's brow was creased, not expecting that. Yeah, I'll stay with Derek. I can stay with Derek. Right, I'll handle taking Derek out for some fun. Yeah, this, right here. Good, I thought you could do something useful. Marina! Derek's voice was strangled and hushed.
You don't have to.
What about you? Why does it have to be just you? You could have suggested we take turns watching Nicholas. Derek shook his head and you felt your stubbornness spark.
It doesn't matter.
That's fine. Someone's gotta be here for Nicholas, and it's easiest if I do it, that's all. Okay, we're gonna die on that hill, boyo. Well, it's too bad because I won't go.
Yeah, sure.
Jorge, show me something interesting. What was the yeah sure for there? Jorge gulped up, but nodded. His gaze bounced between Elizabeth and your standoff with Derek, and he wisely decided to take his leave. He led Elizabeth away, passing by assorted stalls. He seemed to have an idea where he was going, so you figured he and your sister would probably have a good time. Derek shifted his weight from foot to foot, bouncing around like floors on fire. It got more panicked the further away your sister and his brother got without you. Marina, you have to go! I phoned our parents! What? He kept babbling and hot-footedly hopping, both at a rapid pace. They rented bikes and we're having a good time. I just couldn't ask them to take Nico. That's not your fault. It's all because of me, and you shouldn't have to miss out because of that. You have to go have fun. Yeah, this guy, here he is again with his bullshit, right? Taking, like, everything on himself. This isn't as personally offensive to Marina, but it's just... You were shocked to hear this revelation. He chose to keep Nicholas. But you shouldn't have been so surprised. Of course he didn't stop his parents from having fun. That was exactly what Derek would do. And that was what Derek was trying to do with you now. I'm still staying. With the other two were completely out of sight, Derek stopped his frantic movement, having spent all his X6 nervous energy. He met his gaze head on, staring at the friend who simply couldn't help himself in being helpful. His face changed into something tense and small. He wondered how many times he did this, took on all the responsibility so that others didn't have to be bothered. It didn't seem like he was called out on it much. Slowly he smiled. His grin was tender enough to be genuine. Well, then it's gonna be here. If you're gonna be here anyway, we don't have to make ourselves miserable. It's you and me, and well, Nicholas time. Now you talking.
Alright.
He lifted Nicholas higher and stood tall, ready to take on the world. Then his knees buckled and he blushed. I don't think you have any kind of, like, choice in this either. I think you have to stay with him. Can we sit down somewhere? Yeah, that's probably a good idea. After spending all that time searching high and low while carrying out his brother the whole time, Derek needed a break. You both dragged yourselves over to a nearby bench. It was thankfully empty and away from the crowd. Derek took a heavy seat, and he exhaled deeply. He kept Nicholas close to his chest. It was a familiar motion, one that Derek must have done hundreds of times before. I get why Nicholas is so attached to you. Maybe you shouldn't take on everything yourself. You don't like getting help, do you? I admire how responsible you are. Your parents are lucky to have you. You stayed quiet. Maybe you shouldn't take on everything yourself. By that, I mean you can ask for help with Nicholas.
Maybe?
He appeared surprised at your observation and unsure how to respond. He sank in on himself, curling around Nicholas as he stared at the boards in front of him. He mumbled, soft enough you had to hold your breath to hear. I don't think that's such a bad thing. You weren't sure what to make of that. He wasn't lying, but he looked too sad for it to be the full truth. He didn't say any more about it. After you both had settled, Derek carefully reached into his pocket. He struggled to dig around to find out what he was searching for. Aha! He pulled out a special snack baggie in triumph, but was still completely full, untouched from this morning. Derek tried to pick out some morsels from the bag, but it was even harder to keep Nicholas from flopping over. Need some help there? Derek flushed at your offer and became self-conscious over the fact that you noticed his difficulty.
Thanks.
Despite his embarrassment, he passed the snacks to you. You took the bag and steadied his hold on Nicholas. And he stayed his hold on Nicholas. Oh, I just need the granola chunks. You can have the other stuff in there. And just some of it would be good. Is that your favorite? Yeah, but no. He squinted at him in confusion. He laughed cheekily, having expected your reaction. It's my favorite snack in the bag, but that's not the reason I want it. The other stuff isn't for me. There's a handful of cereal Nicholas secretly likes. That way he can have something that's not just candies and cookies. I brought the walnuts for Jorge in case we were out too long. He got hungry and he dropped his gaze from you shyly.
Honestly...
The sunflower seeds are for you, you know, because maybe you'd get hungry too. Hey! Because it was the first thing we picked, Marina likes sunflower seeds. There you go. That's 4 handfuls. You always think ahead, that's so nice of you. You should use your snack bag for other people. You stop doing everything for everyone else. What if you need more for yourself? You beam his consideration in front of his admission. Wow. Derek up on his bullshit again. What if you needed more for yourself? He did not. Did he not think of that? He'd be starving while holding on to extra snacks for everyone else. What did he actually eat today? You narrowed your eyes and tried to think back if he had anything.
No worries.
He tried to reassure you and brush off your concern. To him, it wasn't a big deal. Do you not want any sunflower seeds? You can take it. I mean, so I've never eaten those, and I never will. But he didn't eat all day. This is stuff I would do. That's why I get so mad at this man. Especially like 13-year-old me would certainly have done this. Sure, thank you. I don't want it. You should eat it. It's your special snack bag. Sure, thank you. Derek being more than happy to share. He was planning to come in handy. You appreciated the snack. You carefully fished out some chunks of granola. They were slightly sticky to the touch. You dropped them into Derek's outstretched hand.
Thank you.
Okay. That goes up there with thanks. Thank you! That's probably the only time we'll hear it. He popped one of the tiny oat clusters into his mouth and started chewing. You decided to pull out your own snacks. You wanted to eat and share your own snacks with Derek. You offered Derek some of your own snacks. Yes! Want some? You held out your baggie in a place where you could just pour it out for Derek as if he said yes. I mean, we took pretty much the same things. We took the almonds and the... You know, it's pretty much the same stuff he had almost, entirely. His eyes lit up in amusement as he considered your snacks.
Definitely.
That'd be great. Sharing is caring. And thanks for getting mangoes. Thanks for getting mangoes for you, by the way. If I was gonna get a second thing for me, it would have been that. So this really worked out. Hey! Whoa! I wonder if that's intentional, or if he would have, like, if he just says whatever he took, like other things. I mean, I took the almonds and the granola, which were things he liked too, or he had in his. But that's crazy that he comments on specifically the mangoes. Next time I do this, I'll find out. He tipped some snacks out of your bag for Derek, and he gratefully munched on them. Both of you leisurely enjoyed the time. The bench was comfortable, and the food was delicious. The scenery was busy enough that there was always something to watch. The munching and high-pitched snoring served only sounds between you for a while. You passed Derek the last cluster of granola, and you had to really try to get it out of the bag, out around all the cereal and walnut chunks. This kid... Oh, walnuts, not almonds. I had almonds. This kid sleeps all day. I don't know 6-year-olds to do that. He'd take a short nap, but man, he's been asleep all day. He accepted it with great enthusiasm and took his final bites. He swallowed, satisfied. He absent-mindedly patted Nicholas's head as he peered up and down the street. Something caught his eye and he lit up. You know, I was so focused before I kind of forgot where we were. This is still the boardwalk. He was as excited as he had been towards the beginning of the day.
Let's go.
Want to walk around? There's a lot of interesting stuff here, even if we're only looking. Sure, I feel like strolling. Maybe I'd even get a good saunter on. Derek gave you a thumbs up and then hummed at Nicholas. Can you help me move into my back? That'll be easier for a long haul. You stood up to help. It took both of you fumbling around, but with effort you were able to get little boy comfortably on Derek's back. Then you left the bench behind to explore the bustling waterfront park. Without consciously deciding to, you gravitated to the edge of the path closest to the sea. You studied the beautiful ocean, your breath almost taken away by how water sparkled under the last flickers of sunlight. The evening ran pleasantly warm despite the encroaching darkness. Your skin felt taut under your face paint. The paint had started to crack after its long exposure to the elements. Is it normal for Nicholas to fall asleep like this? Kind of. Sometimes something is so exciting that Nicholas bounces off the walls just imagining it, and by the time he actually gets there, he's already burned himself out. Oh, he's like that. I guess. Yeah. I'm pretty sure Nico didn't sleep at all last night because he knew today was going to be Boardwalk Day. Oh, there you go. That happened, yeah. That explains it there. Also, I have a feeling Nico's a bit ADHD. He also might just be 6, but I kind of get that impression. Ah, that's cute. Ah, sucks he's missing this. You have say stuff through the day when he wakes up? I used to do that when I was little. You're not understanding me. Ah, sucks that he's missing this. I promise he'll be alright. Nico isn't great at imagining what might have done if things were different. He lives in the moment. So long as he wakes up on his own, he won't be a grouchy monster. Just so you know, we got cotton candy after the roller coaster. Elizabeth might end up being a bad influence on Jorge. Your parents should give you a raise. I hope Jorge and Elizabeth are having a good time. I hope Nicholas is at least having good dreams. He stayed quiet and continued to observe the sunset. I hope he's at least having good dreams. We're not going to tell on our sister. We would never do that.
Yeah.
Except that one time when we totally did. I bet he is. Walking down the boardwalk was peaceful. The conversation was easy with the occasional giggle. Other groups of people passed by. Couples, young friend groups, and families with children all bustled about. You caught slivers of conversations ranging from mundane to philosophical. Derek glanced at the faces all around him and grinned to himself. Kind of feels like we're parents and this is our kid. He twisted around to show you Nicholas with amusement. You're right. Oh yeah, our next trip should be a wedding chapel. Ha ha, I'm glad he's not actually my kid. Yeah, you blushed to how to respond. It'd be nice if that was true. Yeah. Yeah, haha, I'm glad he's not actually my kid. Haha, Derek gave a full-bellied laugh. It's surprising that Nicholas didn't stir. Guess I know how you really feel. Ha ha ha, yeah. Yep. As he led you down the boardwalk, you noticed a new skip in his step. Hey, I have an idea. Let's ride the Ferris wheel. We've officially given up on getting our parents, and even Nico can do that. Yeah, that'd be perfect. You're a genius. How high is it? You can be afraid of heights. Is it safe? You nodded excitedly. That'd be perfect. Derek let a whoop and turned around like it was a little happy dance. He laughed, charmed by his enthusiasm. Keep that up. You're gonna wake the sleeping dragon there. Even if I did, we'd drag him to the wheel anyway. That'd rock him back to sleep. Ferris wheels are the one thing I do not, never, ever, ever don't ride. All the double, triple negatives there. I always ride the Ferris wheel at a place. I love them. They are my favorite thing. They are such a cool... I really want to ride a double Ferris wheel someday. I think I might have before. The ones that go up and have, like, 2 wheels that, like, shift. I think I have ridden one of those, actually. You smirked. Derek had an answer for everything. Just watch out for Hiker Andy if you're going to ride the Ferris wheel. You both eagerly made your way through the crowd to get in line for one ride that was always an option for you. Derek cautiously weaved past people, making sure no one accidentally bumped into Nicholas in the way. The line was short and it didn't take long for you to start boarding the ride. You piled into the cabin and Derek placed Nicholas in the corner of the Mel bench. He sat next to him. So this is kind of a lame... If they're going to do a Ferris wheel, like, this is what the interior of a Ferris wheel looks like, but why do that? Why not show you the whole, like, area below you? That's what you want to look... That's what you'd be looking at, not just, like, straight across in the Ferris wheel. Nicholas snuffled when he was jostled, but didn't wake. Derek wrapped his arm around him to secure him from falling forward. Nicholas unconsciously leaned his head over to rest on him. You rested on the bench across from them, eye to eye to watch Derek. It felt sturdy under you. Derek's grin widened and he tapped his toes together as he waited for the ride to start. And it did. The carriage car rocked forward. Slowly you ascended into the sky. And you could see the entire expanse of the boardwalk from the cabin. No, you can't. You can only see the cabin. It was like an amazing sight. From this height, the stalls and decorations looked like a magical land of toys. Yeah, I love thinking about stuff like that. We have a big Ferris wheel here, and I like to go on that every once in a while. And just look at the whole... You can see, like, the whole city and stuff. It's real cool. You glanced at Derek, curious if he was enjoying the view, too. Oh, I should look for something like that when I'm in Chicago. Probably not going to. I'm doing a big trip to Chicago this at the end of the month. Not quite fall. To kind of kick off the fall season. The sun continued to sink as the Ferris wheel rose, and the light that reached inside the cabin through the little window was low. Sharp-edged shadows cut across Derek's body. He stopped shuffling his feet and switched to tapping a finger against the top of his knee in a jittery, uneven beat. Just in case I want that for later. With Nicholas still sound asleep, it felt like you were all alone with Derek. In the small space high in the air with no one else around anywhere, it's romantic, isn't it, Gus? You made one more attempt to get Derek to be open with you. If he wouldn't do it now, then what would he? Alright, Derek, there's no escape now. You're gonna have to tell me what's up. You began to list your points of concern. The whole thing sounded even more unreasonable when said in a single sentence. All the guys in her life are always ridiculous. Just to say, like, all the guys that are romantic interests in your life always get ridiculous. You got the face paint Nicholas wanted. You picked out snacks for other people. You gave up your own chance to have fun today so our parents could go on a bike ride. Why don't you do things for yourself? He shrunk under the accusation, like the walls are bending in on him. I mean, we already kind of know this, right? We talked about this before.
Well...
It's not like you can't ever do things for me. I do sometimes. You weren't convinced and spelled it out with the furrow of your brow and the tight line of your mouth. We already talked about this in Responsibility a whole bunch. Like, about how he's always watching his Kip Harrod brothers and he wants his own time. Derek acted the scolded child and hung his head in shame, but he felt compelled to fill the uncomfortable silence to reaction and left. It's easier to do things for other people than to try to fight for something just for me. And that makes everything easier for other people, too. I like this. This is how I feel. This is how I've always been as a kid, and kind of as an adult, too. It's these days, people expect me to want to do stuff for myself all the time, so I kind of have to, but I like this. This is my thinking, too. It is easier to do things for other people. And then to, you know, I like to do that. He almost spoke out in his defense to declare that he should stand up for what he needed. You held it back. Derek was finally expressing himself, and he didn't want to interrupt. My mom makes this whole case about how I do too much for other people, and let people walk all over me. And it's like, no, you don't understand. I'm doing this stuff because I want to. This is what I want to do. I enjoy doing things for people and with people. He rambled on, trying to sort out his thoughts and arrange the words into a way that made sense to both you and himself.
I don't know.
I like thinking about the people I love. I really seriously like doing stuff that makes them happy. I don't want to have to stop doing any of that. Derek tightened his hands into fists. His words were earnest, and he directed them straight towards you with unwavering eye contact. I mean it. Even though it's annoying sometimes, annoying for me and whoever tries to stick with me. However, as true as it was, his resoluteness fizzled out for almost immediately. Derek timidly sunk his head down in his seat. He brushed his little brother's bangs away from his closed eyes. It was a nervous momentary distraction. Nicholas offered him some emotional support just by being there. When When Derek spoke again, it was in a tiny voice.
Maybe.
Maybe part of me is sort of hoping that instead of having to do more for myself and less for others, somebody would try to do things for me too. Then it'd be even. Derek shifted slightly. His head was still low. His gaze shifted up to you. It's kind of like a dream or something that I've got. And if I'm not doing that for anyone else, how am I going to find someone who will do it for me? I can't ask for stuff even if I'd want to give. That's really sweet, honestly. It's kind of dumb to expect other people to do things for you, though. I don't like that thinking. That's flawed thinking, but it's a sweet idea that he's given first before trying to take, right? Your eyebrows shot up, but the rest of your body froze in place. Derek turned his face towards the window, but it wasn't enough to cover the way his cheeks had reddened. I mean, he's also a 13-year-old. My family cares about me, obviously, but a lot of times that's the thing I need help with. With a laugh, Derek literally tousled the hair of the beloved pain in his side who laid there. The youngest brother was remaining blissfully unaware of the trouble he caused. The humor in his tone left Derek as quickly as it had appeared. He couldn't get away from how serious the topic was or how much it truly meant to him. It'd be cool to have somebody who was on my side and who liked me because of me, not because they're family and are supposed to love me. Yeah, hint, hint, player. Hint, hint. From a single instant, his eyes met yours. Then he instantly focused on the world outside the scuffled, clouded window of the old Ferris wheel. You could see a lopsided grin reflected in the glass. Don't tell my bros I'm imagining some pretty dumb things. It's not dumb, that's normal and nice. I promise this will stay between us. You don't have that. You do have that. I'm here for whenever you need it. I'm sure that dream will come true for you. You smiled reassuringly. I'm sure that dream will come true for you.
Thanks.
Like, she's not gonna be like, it's me! It's me, Mimsy! Okay, enough of that. The foggy face you could make out in the window pane softened. He wasn't ready to show it directly, but you were glad you still got a glimpse of it. He grasped the top of one knee and took in a deep breath through his nose. When he exhaled, he carefully let out a few more words for consideration. Hey, Marina, is there somebody that you think... But he never placed the last part.
Forget it.
You can ask me anything if you want to. You can't leave it there. You're killing me, you joked. Well, I don't know what you were going to say. It's alright. Nah. Wait, I want to know what you were going to say. Let's pick on him a little bit. Sorry, but don't worry about that. It was just this idea I've been kicking around. But I should probably think about it a little more. A lot more. Besides, Derek shrugged an arm and cocked his head down in the extra bit of company who was still gently snoring. It's kind of awkward to talk about all this personal stuff with my baby brother right here, even if he is asleep. Don't wanna... Yeah, never mind. He chuckled good-naturedly, moving his head to scratch behind his ear. Yeah, not a good time to confess to the girl that you like in the, with your holding your little sleeping little brother, right? Maybe I can try again later. The back of his foot knocked against the lower wall of the outcropping metal seat on repeat. It sounded the end of the conversation, but that didn't mean anything else was on his mind. Nothing else was on his mind. So I'm assuming. Here's a thought. I know that you can play whatever type of character you want with Cove. Like, you can basically be... gay with Cove and stuff, because it's a romance story, so you can be a guy in Romance Cove. I guess you can probably be a guy in Romance Derek and Baxter, too, so they are all, like, basically bi. I never really thought about that. Derek doesn't strike me as the kind of guy that would be bi, but I'm assuming if you're a guy, you can have these exact same kind of conversations with him, and it doesn't exclude that, because it would be kind of rude and a rude of the creator if they excluded that. Huh. Derek was always considering something, and most of the time it was other people. Things someone else might have missed or forgotten wasn't taken for granted by him. Thanks for helping with the snacks before. The piece of appreciation was given easily. That next, though, was far meeker.
And thanks for coming with me.
Oh, you said it. That's sweet. You're welcome. Was nothing. Thanks for letting me come with you. Anytime, Derek. He gave him a thumbs up. You're welcome. This time, Derek shared his bright and bashful face directly with you. You could always count on him, and that was a certainty. And Derek knew that sentiment was mutual. You would look out for him, whether he did it for himself or not, was whether he asked you to or not, whether he wanted you to or not. Oh, geez. Let me read that again. You would look out for him whether he did it for himself or not, whether he asked you to or not, and whether he wanted you to or not. That was just as sure. Not as much more was said before the ride came to its steady, inevitable end, and you disembarked from the cabin with Nicholas securely in Derek's arms. I'm gonna try to go the whole distance here. But again, like I do a lot of times, there might be a break after this. If there's not, then you know I kept going and such.